Guys and dolls, Freedom Dad here. So, made here the sat nav or something in the back. We're just heading back up north to Scotland. And just want to give you a wee rundown from my YouTube followers, you know what I mean? Because you've been absolutely amazing the last wee while. So, I just want to take this opportunity to tell you how it went. So, yeah, it was really good. Uneventful journey there, an amazing sunrise. We're probably going to catch the sunset going back. But yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. So I did. Very nervous with the speeches. I was second up. You know, I did ask to be last, but I was second up, and yeah, I didn't have any route down. I didn't have a clue what I was going to say. You know, I really didn't, because I was wanting to hear the other speakers first before I could. You know, I didn't want to start speaking about stuff other people spoke about. You know, and it was Amber said to me, you know, just don't stop worrying about it. You know, man, I'm sweating. My hands are sweating. You know, everything was going on. It shouldn't be going on. You know what I mean? And then so I got up on the platform bit, the race bit, and they've passed me the mic, and you know, I think it's a wee bit like, and if I'm only saying this because you know this and you follow me, it's a wee bit like robbing a bank. You know, you're quite nervous until you walk over the threshold, and once you're committed, it's sort of, you know, once I had that mic in the hand, there was no going back. Then the sort of thing, you know. But to be honest with you, I can't even remember what I said. You know, I have an idea what I said. I started talking about bushes and trees and don't know where I was going. But no, basically what I did say, what I've seen, look back at, and I will put it up. So, well, I'm just wanting to get a decent copy so you can hear what I'm saying. Because we had the left right next to us. I mean, like right next to us, you know, right up to us with their speakers, and really making it really difficult for everybody to hear our speakers. And I don't know why the police are allowing it. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, it's just like, you know, it was an arranged with the police liaison officers, a protest. So everything should have been done right, and they should have been kept back. You know, they were pulling our banners down and causing all sorts of madness and trouble. You know, and yeah, it was just, you know, uncalled for. You know what I mean? And you know, part of my speech was directed at them. You know what I mean? Because it makes me angry that, you know, most of them probably don't have children. They don't know what we're going through, you know what I mean? If I hadn't been so nervous, I would have went on about them probably not even coming from the working class. But, like, you know, I will get better. You know, if I get another opportunity, I will get better. And I mean, it's obviously my first one, so I'm trying to keep it out of the sun, and also, that's better. So it is my first one, and I know I will get better if I ever get the chance to do it again. And I'll never say no. This is the thing, you know what I mean? And it's not from I want to do it. I promise you it's not. I'd rather I didn't have to do it, to be honest with you, because, you know, I don't want to be talking about these things about childhood abuse, and it's still going on in our society today, like 50, 40 years later, you know, from when I was a young boy. And like I keep saying, it's the same kids, it's the predators have changed, but it's the same children, working class children. You know, from broken families, you know, kids that are running about the streets at night, hanging about kebab shops so they can get a bite to eat. That's, you know, that's how it all starts. These kids are looking a bite to eat, and the next thing you know, they're getting given drink and drugs, and you know the rest, guys. You know the rest. But yeah, obviously I'm gonna keep talking about that. I'm never gonna quaver, you know, when it comes to it. But like I say, I was quite nervous. It wasn't a big numbers there, but I understand that. I don't expect there to be big numbers, because the way the government are getting on and calling people far right and racist and all that. And I made a point of saying that in my speech, asking people, were they far right and racist? You know what I mean? Because obviously they're not. They're just seriously concerned about what they're going on. And you got these ones on the left shouting, stop the boats, or not, you know, sorry. You had the ones on the left shouting, refugees welcome here, and I addressed them. I says, refugees are welcome, but it's got to be the right type of refugees that really need, or these guys don't need help. They managed to cross the world, more or less. They managed to make their way through 5 safe countries, you know, and managed to get across the English Channel from France. So really, come on, guys, I don't think they need that much help. So it's obvious they're here just for the benefits. They're here to sign on. They're here to get adult disability and every other benefit that we give to people that are not so fortunate than ourselves, you know. And yeah, it is a tricky one, you know, because some of them do come from war-torn areas, And I understand why some people may think, yeah, well, if they live in a really bad place, then we should give them refuge, you know. And well, this is the thing, you know, we're not a big, massive country. We're not America or Canada or Germany. We're quite small, and we're struggling already. You know, there's evidence that this country is struggling really bad, you know, and like what we're trying to say is we need to stop the boats. Just let's take a breath. Let's take account of who we're letting in, who's coming in. You know, should this be here? But like I keep saying, these guys, if we cannot deport men that are committing serious crimes and they're then getting imprisoned, right? They're doing prison time, long prison sentences, some of these guys, because they're horrific crimes that they're committing. Foreigners I'm talking about, people have come into this country from other countries, and then we jail them, then they get out of jail, then we give them council houses. I'm not kidding you. These guys have got to be housed when they come out of prison. And I know how it works. I've come out of enough prisons. You know, they house these people. You know, you got to have a house when you come out of prison. Simple as that. They're not going to let you out in the street, and they will organise a house or a bedsit or a flat for you for your release. And the whole point of what I'm trying to say to you here is, if we can't deport men who are committing horrific crimes that do not belong in this country, you know, they don't belong here. They're not from here. You know, if you're giving you refuge, there has to be rules and regulations. Once you commit a crime, a horrific crime against women or children, that's you. You've lost your right to asylum in this country. You should be put straight back out. And you know, if you're saying, if we don't know where you're from, you stay in prison till you tell us where you're from. You pick a country and we send you to it. You know. And I know there's a lot more involved of the country accepting them and all that. I know it's not as easy as just. I understand that, but we're Britain. We've conquered so many things and overcome so many difficult situations in our lives as a country, as a nation, as each individual, whether you be from an Irish national from Northern Ireland or a Protestant British man from Northern Ireland, whether you're Welsh, English or Scottish, we've all got over certain things in life that makes us who we are. And in a nation as a whole, you know, we've done pretty good. You know, we've held our own in the world and we've done okay. And I honestly think that, you know, this problem of not being able to deport illegal immigrants that break into our country, and we know that they're criminals and sex offenders and we can't deport them, come on, man, we're better than that. You know, there has to be a solution. And yeah, my solution is get rid of the Labour Party, call for a re-election. You know, once the people, and nobody's voted Labour, 18 million people never voted. The people that did vote Labour are going, oh, I didn't realise. Well, you realise now. So they're all saying, you know, we don't want Labour. The whole country has a unison, apart from illegal immigrants, the Blue Heart Brigade, Hope Not Hate, Nick Lowell's, and End Racism. They're the only ones. The rest of the country are screaming they get rid of Labour. Every single civilian in this country wants rid of Labour. They've made a mistake. So we all thought the King was going to step in, but the King came out and told all the Muslims that they'd done well coming out to protect their areas when they were beating British men just because they looked patriotic, because they were coming back from a football game with a fucking scarf around their neck. You know what I mean? And even if they have a Union Jack and they're at a protest, that does not give anybody a right. You know, one of my friends, Captain Britain, was beat up, lost teeth, broken nose, 3 of them, patriots, by 25 to 30 Muslim men. We've captured it. It's all been captured. It's all there. You know, that should not be allowed. There should be a public inquiry if Muslim men are walking about our streets picking on British men because they're white and because they're British. There should be a public inquiry about that. You know, there's no mobs of English men walking about looking for Muslims. That's not happening. You know, and it wouldn't be allowed to happen. So why is it allowed to happen the other way around? So these are the facts of what's going on in Britain today. The facts that you're not being told about. We're on the ground. The patriots like me and Amber next to me has been to every single protest for the last 10 years, and I'm not kidding you. You know, these are proper patriots that have got their ear on the ground. They're listening to other patriots that are talking about stuff that's going on in different areas, because that's the only way you're going to find out, because you're not going to be told by your newspapers, and you're certainly not going to be told by your multimedia on your TVs, your Sky News, BBC News, Channel 4 or Channel 5. You know how good Channel 5 are with fucking Schofield. So that's the strength of our media. You can see what they've done with Schofield, right? So you got to understand, you've got to turn your TVs off, guys, and start turning your internet on. Start watching YouTube channels. because most of the stuff on entertainment you can see on TV is actually on YouTube and other channels. People record it and do what they do, and you can watch it for free. You don't need to worry about TV licenses or nothing, and you can watch it in your own time. There's news channels there that will bring you specific news that you want to hear about, and you can have 3 or 4 of them. You know, you don't need to sit down. You can watch it at any time. It doesn't need to be a 9 o'clock news and a 10 o'clock news the way the government want you to be. You've got to watch news at a certain time, the 6 o'clock news, the evening news. You can watch the news whenever you want, but it's your news. It's the news that you want to hear, not the propaganda that our left-wing government and our left-wing news and media corporations are trying to feed us. The nonsense and lies about Russia and Ukraine. Absolute nonsense and absolute lies. They're trying to tell us that Ukraine are in any way doing in any way well. It's nonsense. They're getting slaughtered over there. Every time they bring a vehicle out, whether it be an American tank or a British tank, they're getting wiped out. The accuracy of their targeting from the Russians is second to none. And the Ukrainians have not got a chance. They're losing. Hundreds of thousands of men are dying. Young men with families and children, and you're not getting told none of that. We're just getting told, yeah, we're going to be sending billions over there for the next 3 years. We're going to be sending weapons over there. We're going to be training their men to die. That's all we're doing. We're training their men to die. We're not training them to do anything else. But nobody else is going to tell you that. I'm telling you that because I know that's the facts of what's going on in the ground in Ukraine. I've been covering Ukraine right from the start, way before any of you knew that things were going on. I knew what was going on, what they were doing to Russian civilians, throwing them off roofs. I understand why Putin went in there, totally get it. If any other country was in any other situation like that, they would do the exact same. I believe if it was Britain, we'd be doing the exact same. NATO agreed. They signed an agreement that they would not come up to the border of Russia, and then they were getting Ukraine to sign an agreement to join NATO, and they got rid of the Russian-speaking leader and put in their own puppet by the name of Zelensky. And Zelensky and Putin at the very start of this war wanted to sign a peace deal. They wanted to sign. It was all ready to go, and America, Biden's government and our government said no, which we had no right to be involved in. Hundreds of thousands of men are going to die before this conflict is over on both sides, and we're solely responsible for that because we could have stopped it. That's our far left government. Been far left from day one. Tories as well. Every one of them have all been working against the people of this country in so many ways. We've got billions and billions of pounds going all over the world right now, and none of it's getting spent in Britain. Our councils are crumbling. Our NHS is crumbling. Every infrastructure that we have is struggling. Our doctors are leaving. Our policemen are leaving the police. The rich are leaving. Nothing's going good. It's getting worse and worse and worse, guys. And it's all because of the government. We need to change our government, and we can't do that. I can't do this on my own. You've got to tell people what's going on. You know, the horrific crimes that were going on in Rotherham and Rochdale and all them towns down there, like over 10 towns where hundreds of girls were, you know the score, you know what happened. 1,200 girls, children in one area, you know, whether the children or women, you know, at the end of the day, should never have happened. Should never have been allowed to happen, and it should never have been kept quiet, because still to this day, half the nation doesn't know what happened to some of them girls. And every one of them girls may have came from broken families, but some of them will have families and mothers and sisters and all that and aunties that will be broken hearted, because a lot of these girls will now be drug addicts or alcoholics because they went through horrific crimes and nobody would listen to them. Social workers, police officers, nobody listened to them. It wasn't until there was hundreds of them saying the same thing that they had no choice. It wasn't until citizen journalists like me were going down there, and people like Tommy Robinson were going down there and highlighting it, you know. And like, it's still going on today, guys. They're still going on. There's still grooming going on. They're still targeting young girls. You know, any vulnerable girls out there now are targets in these towns and cities where the demographic is changing. And this is serious, because, and just because it's not happening where you are right now, where I live, the kids, the wee girls, all run about the streets. You know, like everywhere you walk where I live, there's kids, because we don't have that problem just yet, you know. But just because we don't have that problem, it doesn't mean that I can't get involved in other people's, because I bring in the only way I can see of making sure it doesn't happen in my area and the areas where you live is to highlight it, to make sure you are aware. Because if you aren't aware what's coming, and it comes. It's too late. Once it's here, it's too late. Believe you me, there's no going back. As soon as you go out and you start protesting, they're going to beat you back with batons. That's what they're doing with people. They'll kettle you and they'll arrest you. Right? You put anything up on Facebook, you'll be arrested. Right? Now, so a lot of you are like, you don't really get it. I'm trying to tell you this. You don't get it because it's not in your areas. I'm going to these areas. I'm speaking to these kids. I'm speaking to these mothers. I'm hearing the horrific stories that's going on of children being abused by men that don't live here. They're illegal immigrants in a lot of cases, but in many cases it's foreigners. Right? The ones in England, the Rotherham and Rochdale, they were mostly Pakistani men, and I'm not telling you any. I'm telling you the facts, and I don't know why. Is it the culture? Is it the age of consent that's different? Are they used to going with younger, like children where they're from? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just a guy in the forest. That's what you know me. I'm just a guy who's going to have a wee girl soon. You know what I mean? 5 weeks. Wee Lucky's going to be here, and I'm looking at 20 years time, and it horrifies me what I see when I sit down and do the maths of what's going on. Because when I'm doing the maths, I'm horrified at what I'm getting, but I'm only working with the figures that I'm getting from the government. I know them figures aren't right. I know the figures are keeping things quiet from us, you know, and they might be counting the boats coming across the channel, but they are not counting men coming in on lorries. They are not counting men coming in on van loads and van loads. There's criminals from this country going over there in vans, whether they got false panels, lorries, all falsed out. They're going over there and they're charging some of these men £1,000 to £10,000 a head to get them into England, right? And that's nowhere to lie. And there's a lot of men making a lot of money out of that. So they're coming in all sorts of directions and all sorts of ways, and it's a pandemic. And when you start to hear about it, you guys that don't really know what's going on, when you do hear about it, and you go, man, I remember Freedom Dad talking about that, and I always thought he was just a wee bit not right, and I thought he was maybe a wee bit racist. One day, you're going to go, Freedom Dad was right. But see, when that day comes, guys, and this, I'm not scaremongering, I'm just telling you the facts. I'll always tell you how it is. See, when that day does come, and you go, Freedom Dad was right, that's when it's going to be too late. Because like I say, when you try and protest and you try and kick back, that's when the government come out in force. That's when you'll get beat with batons by your own people. The police, you were paid and brought here and joined to protect and serve us, us guys from the working class, you know, the citizens of this country. That's when you'll see what's really going on. And I hope I'm wrong. That's all I'm going to say. I hope I'm wrong, because I don't want to leave this country. But if I am right, and I'm going to know if I'm right within 5 years, if I'm right, I'm gone. I'm taking my wee Lucky out of here. There's no way am I going to be staying in this country and jeopardise anything happening to her or anything happening to her children. Because that's what's going on, and that's why I'm so passionate, guys. So yes, Hull was a success, absolute success. My speech came out great. I was nervous. I didn't have any notes. I didn't know what I was going to say, but I never need to know what to say because it's already in here. It's already in here, guys, and that's the difference. You know, when it's in your heart, there's nothing will ever stop you. You know, nothing will ever stop me succeeding. Nothing will ever stop me doing what I want to do. As far as my activism is, I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been through the system, brought up through children's homes, spent most of my life in prison. I know how the government work, you know. I know what they've done to me. I should have got help when I was a wee boy, and they didn't. They just made it worse. They just made me worse. They put me in with criminals, and they became my best friends. There was only one path I was leading down. Once they put me in that place where I hadn't committed a crime, and I was just like 8, 9 years old, and all the boys were there, they knew what direction. They wanted me to go in that direction because they didn't know what to do with me, because they needed to get me into a prison, you know. That was all they wanted. Anybody from children's homes, because we've got stories to tell, because we know too much, and people like us, they need to get us criminal record up, you know. It worked with me. Look, I went on that road to prison and never left for 20 odd years, you know. 3 sentences, 1 in England, 1 in Scotland, and 2 in Northern Ireland. So, you know, it worked, you know what I mean. And who am I? Who's going to listen to me? You know what I mean? Who's going to listen to a boy from a cur? Who's going to listen to an orphan? You know what I mean? When he's been in prison. And that's their whole point. And I thank you guys, because you see past that. Every single one. He's nearly 3,000 followers on YouTube. I'm talking to YouTube, only YouTube. This is only for YouTube. You see past that, and I cannot thank you. You don't know, you have no clue. Being a boy from Belfast, brought up through Curran, and getting straight in the prison system at like basically at 12 right through till my late 20s, more or less. Somebody like that always struggles to get through life because they always think people are going to look at them and judge them. And that's the truth. I've always thought because of my record and who I am and the things I've done, people will always judge me, and who would ever listen to me? And you have shown me that how wrong I can be, you know what I mean? And I've got nothing but love for you and so much respect. And I promise you, I will keep bringing you content and keep giving you stuff about my personal life and what I've been through. And I'll take you on the journey I'm going on. And I thank you all so much. Thank you guys, and God bless you all.